So about a couple weeks ago, NASA brought out the press conference where they said there is now some new evidence that life once thrived on Mars. So let's talk about it. We see these poppy seed and these leopard spots all over the Martian surface. And this was discovered by the Perseverance rover. So what are those? Well, they were a result of a chemical reaction that may have supported microbial life forms. Um, And we can go far back as between 4 billion to 3.5 billion. So Venus and Mars had water just like Earth had. And then we can trace those back. So at one point, about 3.8 billion years ago, and if you go between all three rocky planets, Venus, Earth, and Mars, under their shallow oceans, there were these ancient underwater volcanoes. Because most of the life forms started underwater. And there was these ancient volcanoes that were like a chemical soup. There was these little chemical reactions that were cooked up between the what's below the crust and then all this ocean water, right? And instead of all that steam were results of chemical reactions. And right there you can see microbes and these little bacteria that have evolved and spread across each planet. And eventually, over time, they quickly spread and they became other life forms. And then by like 3.5 billion years ago, there were ancient stromatolites. And you can still see stromatolites on Earth to this day. And these are little mats of blue green algae that form like a rock like structure that create their own photosynthesis. And I think what these spots are, like I said, there were ancient chemical reactions that were supporting ancient microbial life of one point. So early proto life. So could Venus also have these spots that are still existing? But like Venus, like I said, it's so hot. So most of these microbes can't survive. So who knows what the condition of these fossilized spots on Mars? Because remember, this was an ancient waterway at one point, so we can go about 3.9 billion years ago when water was brought to Venus, Earth, and Mars. So, like I said, but what said Venus become a hot, hostile world where Mars became a red, dusty, hostile, dead rock? But like I said, Mars lost all that water and was escaping into space because of the activity of the sun that stripped off its magnetic field and its core.